How was the
What's
weekend,
going on,
brother?
everybody?
How was the weekend, brother?
It was good, man. It was good. How about
Good.
yours?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was
Anything
nice. It was
anything
in,
exciting?
well, you know what we had actually in Ontario here, we had like a wicked day on Saturday. Like wicked warm. It was beautiful. It was one of those last days before we hit the old winter. But no, it was good, my friend. You know, it was good. You really start to enjoy those days when you know they're coming to an end, right? Like in the middle of summer when it's
Yeah.
like ball busting hot. It's
You're
like, oh
complaining.
man,
Yeah,
it's so
right. Oh,
yeah,
it's too hot. I wish it wasn't so hot.
yeah. But you know what? Speaking of hot, today's topic, sales audibles. You know what?
Now that was a transition right there. I like
Did you like
that.
that?
That was good. I did like
You
that.
know, it's I think audibles in well, I mean, let's look at the baseline of audibles, right? You know, you're on the line of scrimmage in football and you look up and the other team makes a move where you're like, "Oh shit. Okay. Hey, Bubba," and you call an audible on the line of scrimmage, right? And I think for us in sales, we have to look at the baseline. The baseline for football is to get the ball into the end zone. That's like, touchdown. That's the goal.
Exactly.
And as few moves as possible. And I think this is a great correlation to us in sales because don't you want to get to the end zone in as few moves as possible? Like if I had a sales sequence that had, and I've had them because when I first started, I couldn't believe we could make this kind of money doing what I consider to be very little. If you think about it, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I came from,
I
that
agree.
construction background where you want to make more money, you work harder, and it's like, and you're breaking your back more. And
Yeah.
so but if we look at that, when you're on the line of scrimmage and you call an audible to change the play to get to the result you want, right? And I guess that's the best way to put it. So
Well,
for us, when it comes to, so go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, I think a big point you're missing too. So when you're playing quarterback or you're there in quarterback, I did play quarterback a little bit, and so what you'll if you're not looking though, so you got to be looking what the defense is doing to know what's even going on. So that's the thing, asking the right questions, asking and paying attention, and that's where the whole two ears one mouth comes into play. We want to ask the questions, we want to get them talking, but then we want to listen. And it's in
Hmm.
the listening that you're looking for that audible. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, and here's, even if we go even bigger picture than that, right? Like let's go 30,000 feet because I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
this is really going to help everyone watching. If we go 30,000 feet, uh, good morning, kids. Looking forward to a fire episode. Missing the background, DJ. Somebody's
Hey,
already
yeah,
called you
yeah,
out on the
yeah.
back cave,
Sorry,
buddy.
coming live
Yeah.
from the Batcave today, guys. It's an early one here. Not at the shop yet. You'll see that. So obviously, and
I think
whoever
I think that I think that calls for everyone watching. We need to call Slacker on that. We need to call Slacker on that because
Okay, yeah,
Ryan's right.
that's
He
what
misses Ryan's right. He misses the
that's what.
background, right?
Oh
So
man,
we,
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
changed the show time, and all of a sudden now we're coming from the Bat Cave instead of coming from. I don't know why Ryan's not coming up on. He's just coming up as a Facebook user, but
Yeah, yeah.
so
Okay,
if we
that's
go
fine. What's up,
thirty
Ryan?
thousand, yeah, brother. If we go 30,000 feet, right? Like DJ, like you're talking base level, like where
Oh yeah,
we're
yeah.
actually on the
Talking.
phone with a prospect.
Yeah, this is front
But if we
lines.
go,
Yeah.
if 30,000 feet, and we say, "Hey, I'm not connected with somebody, or I connect with somebody, I have a conversation that
Uh
all flat. I connect, I have a great conversation. I move to this in my, you know, I
yeah.
got a sales swing. Some people call sales cycles, some people call funnels, where
Hey,
I move to this point
hey,
and I
Dan,
fall off.
you might need to reset your thing. You're sounding kind of robotic. I don't
How are
know.
you?
Am I too? Uh
Yeah,
oh.
it might just be
We had a
Restream
little.
acting
Yeah,
up.
yeah. We had a little lag. You're good. I think
Okay.
you're
So you know what I mean? Where it's like you you get to a certain point in your sales funnel, sales sequence, whatever your specific word is for it, and all your accounts or most of your prospecting seems to fall flat.
mm,
So like there's audibles on multiple levels in our sales cycle. And you know what, you hit something that was like, wow, yes. And from a just from a perspective, right? As the quarterback, when you're on the line of scrimmage, that's like the sales call, right? You're on the line of scrimmage, you're on the sales call, and you're watching all the plays on the field, call it, right? So, and are you there, DJ? Are you oh, I think you're frozen. So you're on the field and you're watching all these different plays where you're going, okay, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. If this person moves, this is what I'm going to do. If this person moves, this is what I'm going to do. And that's the call level. But there's an even higher level that I
mm,
suggest everyone look at. I mean, at the call level, you got to be on your game. And that's why, in essence, that was the whole reason I started asking the same question over and over and over and over again. Because I found when I did the same thing over and over and over again, I was able to find even on a call level where things started to fall flat.
yep,
Because on a call level, that like listen, here's the reality of it. We get these everyone watching, listening now, live, whatever, afterwards. Here's the big thing to take away from here. It is gold, gold when we get somebody on the phone. Like when we actually get a
yes,
prospect on the phone and they're engaged, that
yeah,
is like, you know, the Olympics of logistics sales these days because so many people are not answering their phone. So many people have, traffic managers have 5, 10, 50, 100 times more people calling them. When we get that engaged person, we gotta act, man. But and people say, we like a hungry dog on a T-bone. And I don't necessarily like that verbiage, but we got to act and we got to be on the top of our game. If somebody says, okay, I'll give you 30 seconds, go. Like, you got to go.
boom.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to
And,
be
and,
prepared,
uh, and,
and
and
that's
here was
and
my thing, DJ, when I first started thinking of this, like years ago, I said to myself, how do I know what's wrong if I don't keep doing it until it falls, right? So I started saying, okay, so when I make a phone call, I'm going to ask the same question. I'm going to start with the same opening. I'm going to do that. And if I don't get past the opening, well, I know it's the opening. And I know that sounds silly because it's the opening. But then I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to ask this question. Then I'm going to tell this story if they answer it this way. And within like 3 weeks of making sales calls, I had every rebuttal that the prospects were talking about, everything. And what I did is I sat down and I said, okay, if they say this, what's the best answer I can give
yeah,
to do that? And I had like a cheat sheet. And for those of you that watch some of my training and my live events, I have graph paper that I write on. I literally separated it into 3 areas. And my first area was what I asked, their answer, how I replied.
yeah,
And every day I would do that. I would just have a sheet of paper in front of me, and I'd do 2 lines in the morning, and I would write down what I was going to ask because I already knew what I was asking. I would write down what they said, and I write down my reply.
yep.
And at the end of the day, I would take it home, and it would be something that I would like study at night. And I would sit down. And I'd say, okay, well, how I replied like that, but that was really crap. I mean, that was horrible. It was almost amateur because I wasn't expecting what they said. So okay, and I add it to my repertoire. And then the next time I go out, I have this. I kept this like a it was a Word document, but I call it a simple spreadsheet because I turned it on its side, and it was just the 3 areas, and I just kept it on my desk. So when I was on the phone, if they said that, I went, oh, and all you got to do is look, and then you remember that specific piece of the puzzle that you're trying to put together, right?
Yep.
So for me, that was really how I started on this whole sales Audible thing. I'd love to hear how you got started on
So really the same thing. I mean, that's where I used OneNote, and I kind of talked about that with my, regardless of what sales you do, there always is going to be kind of a basic set of rebuttals that they're always going to have, or not. rebuttals, but objections. And so the
Hmm.
our answer to the objections, guys, is the rebuttals, and that's what we're talking about with the defense and the changing the defense. Their objection is, okay, the defense made a move. Now, what is the offense, and figuring those out, and so that's, yeah. I would use one note, and I would listen to, and that's where I said, guys, listening to the recordings and listening to the calls, even though I hate listening to myself. It's so powerful because you can kind of, when you're just listening it from like Dan likes to say, from a 30,000 foot view, and you're listening from above, and now you're listening on both sides, you can kind of hear where that disconnect might happen, and where you're
Hmm.
figuring out, okay, shoot, I said that, and every time I say this, they're something happens. It's
Hmm.
like a disconnect.
I
It's
mean,
like, uh,
you go back to the footballs analogy, right? They know what audibles they're going to call. If the
yeah,
defense does this, this is what we're doing. If the defense does that, this is what we're doing. And we often say, if this is your career, you're going to put that effort in, right?
yeah,
If this is just your job, like all of these people in the NFL have trained for eons to get where they're going to go. They're elite, right? And that, to me, it always, I mean, every episode we tend to come back to this question, brother. You know what I mean? And it's like we always come back to this. Okay, like ask yourself this. On my master class that I deliver on Thursday and Fridays, I often say to people at the end, 12 months, invest in yourself. Like
yes,
focus, focus, focus. 12 months. Your life will be so different. And last year it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I fell off. And, complete transparency, I fell off. And I said to myself, in the next 12 months, in the last 2 weeks, I said, in the next 12 months, I am going to deliver more.
hey, good
Jagtar's
morning,
back. Hey,
Jagtar.
Jagtar, how are you, man? I'm going to deliver more. I'm going to focus. The next 12 months is going to be a catapulting part of my career. And when we invest, when we make that decision and we do everything we can to track, test, track, scratch that play, do another play, scratch that play. I mean, you look at all these teams, right? And go back to the sports analogy. I think a lot of us relate to the sport analogies. You know, oh well, we just tore the team down. We're going to need a couple of years to build it back up. What
Yep.
does that mean? That means putting the right pieces of the puzzle into place so they see the whole picture, right? So as us as sales reps, I think it's imperative, if, again, caveat, hello, if this is your career, because if this is a
Yeah.
job, then get off this live and go do something else, because no need to learn. But
Yeah, that's
if
right.
this is your career, this is a great place to be. And we'll lead right into our new schedule. Man, I'm transitioning like a boss today.
I
But
know. What
so
is that?
I know, and I didn't even plan it. But so yeah. So it's like, all that investment, the payoff in football is the Super Bowl, right? The payoff in the Olympics is a gold medal. The payoff in hockey is a Stanley Cup. Like, uh, all these all these big payoffs. But what do they do it in? They do it in a year. So, when they come into training camp, it's like, guys, we are going to be harder, this year than ever. And then this is when people excel. People excel in times of challenge. And if your prospects are challenging you in a way that you've never been challenged before, and you excel, you win.
Yep.
And just, again, I'll say it again, 12 months. Make a decision right now on this spot, 9:15 a.m., October 4th, 2021. Today is when I decide for the next 12 months, I am going to do everything, be everything, and track and do everything in my power to be the best salesperson I can be at the end of 12 months. I'm not even talking about saying I'm going to have more GP than ever. No, I'm going to be the best
Mhm.
salesperson I can be, because if you focus on that, I'm going to serve at the highest levels. I'm going to make sure I accomplish every single one of my customers' goals. When you get off of this live today, you're going to call every single customer and figure out what their goal is for the next 12 months, and you're going to crush it like a boss
Well,
if you make that decision.
and that
Transition.
exactly, if you make the decision. But what Dan is talking about too is just goals. Set your goals, guys. Without goals, we have no plan. We have no guidance. We have
You're
no,
aimless.
yeah.
What did Napoleon Hill say? You're a wandering generality.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
And I'm trying to
Without
think what Zig Ziglar says about people with no goals. I
uh,
forget, but it'll
he,
come. It'll
he
come to me
he said
sometime.
he says the same thing. Wandering generality,
Oh, so then
something,
it's Zig that says wandering gen. Okay, so
and
it's
he
Zig
goes
that
a
says
little bit
wandering
further into it.
generality.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And then it's Napoleon Hill that calls it a drifter.
yes,
That's
yep.
it. So
And
Napoleon Hill is the drifter.
that's all you're talking about, and that's all he's talking about. If you figure out that this is your goal, and what Dan was mentioning, so he kind of touched the new schedule. But so guys, we are going to switch it obviously to Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where the plan is kind of early Monday morning. Start your week right with us. We'll kind of get you motivated. If you have your call blocks, if you guys
Not
are
kind of. Get the kind of out of there, brother. What are
all
you
right,
talking about?
all right,
We're going to
we'll
bring the
get you
fire
motivated. We're
every
here.
Monday
Yes,
morning. We're going to bring wicked training for you to start your week to say, okay, Monday morning is going to kind of be
that's
that
right.
pillar training
That's
where
right.
if you adopt the strategy we say during the week, you're going to create that enormous amount of traction during the week. That's what Monday mornings is all about. The big, here is a
There you
wicked way for you to just
go.
get
Wicked.
better at what you're doing in freight and logistics sales.
I
That's
love it.
what DJ meant to
Yes,
say.
that's
Sorry.
what I meant to say. That yeah, he said it right there.
All right. And then Wednesdays, we're doing 10, correct?
Correct. 10 to 11. So we'll do
Good
it.
thing I know the schedule.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good. Yeah, as long as you know it, we're at
I
least
know.
one of us. At least we're not a wandering generality at that point.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And then
And then,
Fridays, guys, is going to be the late show, kind of around lunchtime, so you can. We'll make it more laid back, fun, more of a Q and A, especially as you guys start to join us, like Jag Tar again. Thank you for being on here again, and Ryan, seen your message. I don't know why they have you as Facebook user now, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, so we'll leave that show more of a laid back, more fun, more real life, and we'll throw in some of what we maybe we'll talk about what we did for the week and things like that. So
yeah, definitely. Definitely. So getting back to it, because obviously Mondays is the big one, right?
yes,
Um,
let's do it.
Again, for all of you watching, like it's eh, this, like an Audible, and if I can, please don't do what I did when I first started in sales. So Kelly Reed says, "Where do I start?" Perfect, great question, Kelly. So
Yes.
here's what happens in a sales Audible. Okay, you have your intro. Like for me, I do it in four steps, right? And I look at it like a baseball diamond. And I say first base is always qualifying. Second base is finding out why they buy, and third base is only fulfilling that why. When I pass first base and I understand that I've qualified them, I don't look back at the qualifying stage. I only focus on the why they buy. When I pass second and I go into third, and third is just fulfill the why, I don't look at second or first. I just focus on third, but I don't focus on home, because home is the next logical step in our sales process, which is the close. So a sales audible is when the traffic manager picks up the phone or when I send that email, is it working?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, if it's not, you audit that section. We don't just say, oh, nobody's picking up the phone or nobody's responding to emails. They're responding. They're just not, and please take this the right way. They're responding, just not responding to you.
Yeah.
So like, and there's multiple levels with this, right? And again, I don't want to make it too complicated because this is baseline. But here's the thing: if you're sending an email to a prospect, just understand that subject line has to be that big promise, that headline that's going to capture your perfect client. So if you're doing an email
What
sequence, like an email calls, an email sales sequence, and and you're not getting a reply, look at first thing you do, your audible is you look at the headline. What
exactly?
am I trying to say to the prospect? And then go back at it, meaning just change the headline. Like just change the subject line. Don't change any of the body, just the subject line. And then you send that out for 2 days. And if you're doing an email, like if you're doing an email sales sequence, you could pump out easily 150 copy and paste emails a day and change your name and all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah,
there's strategies to that. And that's not really what this call is about, but maybe we should do a call on that. But you have that headline. And then if you're finding, okay, I'm getting, 10% of people coming back, then look at the body, meaning the copy,
yep,
the text in the email, and change that. Same thing on a sales call. If you're getting traffic managers on the phone and they're saying not interested, not interested, not interested, you have to look at what you're saying.
yeah. What are
So
you saying?
maybe you 8 mile it right off the bat, I would probably say that would be my first test in this market, like in the fractured climate we have today.
Oh yeah,
My first test would be 8 miling it. Hey,
yep.
you probably got 25 calls today, and if you got 25, I hope the first 25 didn't piss you off, because man, I'd really love to have a conversation with you. Like 8 mile the fact that they get calls.
Yep.
If they're in California, hey, how's that port doing? Isn't that a great view off the coast? Like just say something different where they can go like, yeah, you know what, 71 trucks or 71 boats at anchor, man, that must be a great view of 500,000 containers sitting off the
Yeah,
coast, right? Just
exactly.
something, like it's not like how's the weather, it's just something
Different.
to change that view or their perspective of what this call is. You
Yep.
know, think of it like this. You get I mean, I know I get at least 3 calls a day. People wanting to clean my ducts or sell me windows. Like no joke. But everyone, if you notice, if you listen, everyone starts the same.
Yep.
Hi, this is da 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 from duct cleaning service. Click. I'll hang up. I don't even. But if somebody said, "Hey, did you know that you're breathing in all the crap from da 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 da," or some statistic where parts per million, blah blah blah, and started the call like that, I'd be like, "What?" Like it's that, huh? Because you're used to, "Hi, it's Dan calling from Harry's duct cleaning service," right? So, but you're using that statistic to take a second to go, "What?" Now you've got their attention, and this is all it's about. Like this is all the audibles are about, is how do I regain that attention?
Yep.
And when I regain that attention, it gives me another 4 or 5 seconds to hook them in, and then tell them a story, and then make a request. Like there's ways we do it. So Kelly, come back at us and let us know if we answered that question. Where do I start? Because I'm sure you were talking about sales audibles and maybe not sales calls. So
Well, and to Dan's point, so Dan did bring up a great thing. The subject line. I mean, it really is as simple as that, guys. When we're talking about just contacting clients or new customers potentially by email, and you can, and guys, go just research and look up great taglines or catchy taglines. HubSpot always has a lot of good articles that give you a lot of catchy, kind of just subject lines that could draw the attention. You did answer it. So good. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we were able to answer that. But so HubSpot will give you great help with subject lines that are catchy. That work, that have been proven to work. So there's lots of resources out there, and then you could just take that subject, and that's what I do. That's why I'm throwing it out there for you guys. I mean, I'm not. I'll be honest. I might be good at a lot of things, but I'm not very creative. And so uh, I cannot come up with the creative taglines or just catches to get and just draw somebody out. And so using that and then just running off of what they give me as the base has kind of been my what's really helped me when it comes to emails. I just use their taggy subject lines, whether it's, oh, look out, your pants are on fire or something. And then you go from there. But and then you're just rolling from there. But that's a great source. And then, even like Dan said, it's really just the setup, and figuring out what you're getting after you're at that point.
and you know what, I learned this from one of my mentors and from a lot in the digital marketing space. A lot of times they say if you're looking for like subject lines and stuff, like just stand in the aisle at a grocery store
Yeah.
and take a picture of some of the magazines. And it's amazing because I'll go to is it an
That's great.
Apple?
That's a great
Apple has
idea,
this
actually.
Apple has this place where they have all magazines, right? And you can like you get one subscription, you get all these magazines. And I go often 3 times a week, and you know what? I'll make sure to get you guys the link because I just kind of browse. I have a little shortcut on my desktop, and I'll just look at headlines and I'll write them down and I'll figure out how to put them into a logistics context,
Yep.
right? And
Exactly.
for me, it's a great creative way to have somebody say, "Oh, what is this? Oh, that sounds interesting. Well, that's different." And it's simple. I mean, yeah, some of them you could never use, but um,
Yeah.
that's a great resource. Standing in line at the grocery store, that's a great resource. And not only that, taking those headlines and saying, "How can I make that an opening statement?"
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
How can
Yep.
I take these two headlines and make a sentence that just stops my customer in their tracks? Like for me, in sales, the thing I go for, like the big thing I go for is, can I have the prospect say, "Wow, that's a great question." If they say that when I'm on the phone,
Oh man.
that's everything,
Oh,
because I'm totally different.
that's the part in the movie when the music starts playing all different and
Yeah,
it gets
yeah,
all
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's when
Yeah,
that
it's
happens.
it's the part on the line of scrimmage when you realize that audible made
Yes.
it through,
Yeah. You
right?
you can tell what defense they're in, and that's yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like when a prospect says to me, "Wow, that's a great question," or, "Oh, yeah, let me think
Uh,
about that." Like, all of these are key signs we're engaging. And
yes.
for me, it was like, okay, that question, big circle, big highlighter, big check mark. Okay, I got to ask that question more. And it wouldn't be, and here's the thing, and this is the thing with Audibles, because I want to make sure none of you do what I did when I first started creating sales Audibles in my sales cycle. Is like I would use the question, it would work twice, and then it wouldn't work on the next three people. And then all of a sudden I get rid of it. It's like, okay, no, 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 hold on. I know this worked. So, okay,
Test it
it's
out.
working
There you
40% of the time. So I'll
go. Yeah.
test it another 5 or 10 times, and I'll realize it'll work. And then the part of that was, okay, maybe it was the context of the conversation that I didn't use it properly. And that's when I believe, anyways, sales gets really fun, because
Yeah.
we got this checkerboard: question, 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 story, 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 audible, audible, question. And we got all these different pieces. And it's like, okay, I'm going to plug this one, and this one into this call. Or as you're going through your call, you're like, okay, you know what? I got to pull the yellow card out on this one. And you ask the yellow question. Then you pull out the orange because of the answer. And then the next one, you ask the yellow question, but you have to pull out the black card because of the answer. And that for me is when sales gets really fun, because
Yeah.
that's when we get as salespeople. And again, here's the big difference, and I think this is really important: perspective. We talked about this last episode. Perspective. If your perspective is, God damn it, like nothing's working, it's you're gonna go downhill.
You're
If your
done. You're
perspective
done.
is exactly, if your perspective is sweet, this one, I'm gonna have fun with because it's a game and it's a challenge, putting like this piece and then this piece and then this piece, and you're listening to the answer, you're saying, okay, audible, throw this piece out, bring this piece in. And that is only done when you commit and you have a system, a sequence, a series of questions, know the answers. The biggest salespeople in the world: Zig Ziglar, Grant Cardone, all of these huge, like massively impactful people have always said, your number one, when you start transitioning from amateur to pro, and this has, and trust me, my friends, this has zero reference of how long you've been in the industry. Zero. When you transition from an amateur to a pro, the first point of transition is predicting.
Yep.
I remember sitting down with Bob Proctor. and I bought a bunch of Bob's products. I had an opportunity to go and meet him. He met me at a hotel restaurant. We sat down and we started talking. And he says, like, what do you want, Dad? What do you want? I said, I want to be like one of the best salespeople ever. I want to be the best salesperson I can be. And he started asking me a series of questions. And I remember him. He's sitting back and he's so cool, man. Like this guy is so, I call it slick, but it's not like a
I love
sleazy slick.
listening to
Like,
the guy. So yeah,
oh, Bob's awesome, man. I became good friends with him over time. But he's sitting back and he's listening and he's listening and he's listening. And he asks me a question and then I give him the answer and he listens. And then he asks me another question. I give him the answer and he listens. And it's funny because at the end of it, I would have bought anything he was selling. Just in the questions he asked made me really think. And I remember going to his Matrix event, and I was part of the events. Like I was doing all the music and queuing, and we were. It was a really blast. But it's funny because I start talking to other people at the event, and I am asking them, like, when you got here, what did he ask you? What did he say? And it was the exact same
exact same things.
questions,
Yeah.
exact same things, because this is what we need to know, right? Like again, we go back to the number one rule, right? If you do not know the exact challenge your customer's facing, how can you ever deliver a message that's going to connect,
Yep.
right? You can't. So when we make a sales call, it is to stand out from the crowd. Like the biggest purpose is to stand out and grab the attention, right? That's kind of a throwing spaghetti at the wall, and what sticks, use it,
See
and
what
then
sticks.
try
Yep.
something else. If it doesn't stick, combine that with something else. But
Yep.
once we understand that, the whole focus is how can I help you achieve your goals? And this is what he did. But he asked the same question. And I mean, I must have asked, there was probably 100, there was maybe 100, 125, no, probably not that many, probably 80 to 100 people at the Matrix event. And I must have asked three quarters of them. And they, some of them were like, I don't know. He asked me, like, I think he asked me this question, but it was literally the same series of
Same ones.
questions.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
after about question three, things started to vary based on answers, right?
Yep.
But it was the same question. And I believe anyways, DJ, and please, if you think I'm wrong here, I need you to call me out, or anyone
No.
thinks I'm
No.
wrong, I need you to call me out. But the fact is,
Oh yeah.
I think the only way is by doing the same thing over and over. You look at golf, right? They say set up for success, right? So golf, every single pro player sets up the exact same way for every single shot. Like you look at Sergio Garcia is probably the number one person you can think of, right? Where he would
Yep.
do like 10 times he would do a hand
Yes.
grip. And I remember
That's,
when Sergio first hit the
baseball.
PGA Tour,
Baseball's the same thing. You see
every
the
sport, I
batter
think.
too.
Yeah,
You see the
yeah, there you
batter
go.
shooting
Yeah.
the gloves
Yeah.
and
They tap and they, like, and
yeah.
hockey, you get guys down, they get up, they do a spin, they get down, they get up, like goalies get set. Like if you look at all of the pros, and again, I know we're reverting back a lot to that like sports, but think about it. Sports is probably the epitome
Of
of
practice.
professionalism,
Yep. Well,
and
and
practice,
practicing.
practice, practice, and
Yeah.
find out what you do. Like
Practice.
in exactly. And people were saying when Sergio first hit the scene, like, geez, this guy just takes forever. That's how he sets himself up for victory,
Mhm.
right? So get off his back. That's how he sets himself up. That's how he does it. That's how he's found the gold to be there.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, this is where I get real passionate, because people, I've seen so many salespeople, like one phone call they try one thing, one phone call they try another thing, another phone
Trying
call they
all
try another
different
thing,
things. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like,
You have no
why do
clue
you
what
do that? And they said,
works.
exactly. Well, why do you do that? Well, I don't want to waste leads, my friend. We are in a multi-trillion-dollar industry. You're not wasting
No.
leads. Okay, come on.
No.
And
No.
not only that, you have no idea.
Well, and
Let's
I'm gonna
call a spade a spade.
well here
You
and
got
I'm just gonna go because this I'm sorry and sorry to cut you off, but this is
go, because
question,
I see the
guys.
fire coming. Go for it.
Everybody who asked this in the group, look, and I know I hated this answer myself, but let me just tell you, it's the truth. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I wondered the same thing. Where do I start? Where do I find shippers? How do I find shippers? Just drive. Get in your car, drive anywhere. every single business you see is shipping or moving something. Just start calling or
Well,
start
not only
stopping in
that,
and find out.
TJ, think about it, right?
Everybody,
The, okay, everything you see is touch a truck. When you
everything.
do it 360, everything's there. Here's the thing, okay? You have no idea if that shipper is your ideal client until you call.
Yeah.
And when you call, and here's the thing, when you call, if you're delivering a subpar conversation and that person swears at you and hangs up, I've always asked myself this question. And oh, actually, I shouldn't say always. Um, I say, do I really want to deal with that person?
Yeah. That
Like, do you really want to deal with them? Because here's the thing,
I,
everything we talk about, and I guess we probably should baseline this at the beginning of every call or every live, but everything we talk about is based on the fact that you're going after your ideal client, right? Like we can all have a million shitty shippers, and
yeah.
if you're a shipper out there watching, I apologize, but there's shitty shippers out there. Just as for shippers, there's shitty salespeople and shitty
There's
companies
shitty
moving freight.
carriers and
Let's be
shitty
realistic.
everything.
And
Listen,
there's everything,
it,
right?
it,
Everything. And here's Ryan again. This is the truth. I've
yes.
found success in calling shippers that I've never heard of before and actually having a more human conversation. 100%.
Well, guys, here I'm giving you one of the magic bullets. That's the easiest thing to do, especially depending on who you have that you're talking to. If they really know the business and they treat wherever they're working as a career and not just a job, ask them what they do. They love to talk about it. Everybody loves to talk about what they do. It's human
Oh,
nature.
huge.
So just let them talk. Just ask them, I never heard of you guys before. What do you guys do? Now, some might say, why are you calling me then? And, well, that's that customer. Do you want to deal with them? But the people who really, for me, that's a question I like to ask, because if they're going to give me that information, then I know that they're a little more. That they really like what they do. That's what it tells me. If they're like, well, what are you calling me for? I don't have time for this. Then I know, like, is that really my ideal customer? Like, they don't even want to tell me like what they do, so they don't even have the passion to get into what they actually do there. And that's one of the questions I ask all the time. What do you do? What do you guys do? I've never heard of this. I was actually referred to this by this. It might be BS. I might have not been referred to it by anything. I just Googled it. But again, uh, I just ask what they do, and just by that. But you don't ask that right off the bat, because they'll just hang up on you. But when you're in and
That's interesting because I've never,
get into a
ever
conversation.
done that.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I ask it all the
Mm.
time. I ask it all the time. What do you guys do? Like, what do you guys do there? Oh, well, this is what we do. And then they're totally off of that. I'm selling them, and it feels like they start selling me on what they do, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's very so okay. I'm curious. So I'm sure a lot of other people are here, DJ. So at what point in the conversation do you ask that? Because I know obviously just said you don't ask it at the beginning. So
Yeah, so
walk us
so
through
obviously,
an example of the last time you did it, and when do you kind of inject that? So what is it exactly that you do?
yeah, so I find out if I'm talking to the right person first. So obviously in our initial calls, guys, we're just trying to find who is the actual decision maker, because it's not like there's no. So for everybody, another cheat little in there's no like hidden list that says, Joe Smith is who you call for this at this business. Like, it could be shipping manager, it could be the purchaser of the business, it could be the vice president of the business, it could be anybody. I mean, I have customers that who handles and assigns the trucks are the vice president of sales. And then I have actual shipping managers, and then I have purchaser or brokers, food brokers. They're just selling food from a farm, and then they're also having to handle the shipping too. So these people wear different hats, guys. And so in that intro of figuring out who is that contact, who is that person who makes that decision. Once I get that person on the phone, I it's just in the feel of, initially, I'd like to always just find out, how is it going with their current providers, and is there anything they would switch. I like to get them in talking about who they're working with, because whoever we're calling, guys, they're shipping with somebody, unless it's a brand new shipper, uh, which is kind of unheard of. Somebody's been
Yeah, and
shipping
if
with
it is a brand new shipper, they're typically doing the FedEx, UPS, or whatever because it's
exactly, yeah,
easiest
they're
to set
so
up
small.
online.
Yeah, they're doing yeah, and so they're not just brand new. They're working with somebody. So I always like to first start there and see, hey, do you have like Dan says, I like to 8 mile it, and not I stole that the 8 mile, and I'll drop it right. Hey, I know people probably I'm probably the 25th call. My clients tell me this all the time. They're getting blown up by everybody else. So I apologize, but you give me a couple minutes of your time, I'll make it worth it. And that's kind of where I start, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But then I feel them out, and it's all like Dan said. It's more. I've been doing this so long. It is a feel like you can just kind of hear by their questions or what they say, and then I like to, yeah, if the conversation. So usually where I interject that is if I feel like the conversation isn't going anywhere. So if I ask them something and I feel like they're kind of dead, hey, I never heard of you guys. Like, what all do you guys do there? And just let them talk. I always use that to just let them talk. Like if I want to pass it to them, like here, you take over. What?
So, DJ, can I? And I just, again, you know me, I'm pretty anal when it comes to.
Oh
Okay, hold on.
yeah,
So I understand that point. I need to
yeah, yeah.
clarify this point as well.
No, good.
So you're on the phone. You realize the call isn't going anywhere. Is
Yep.
it not going anywhere from a progressive standpoint, or
But
meaning not going anywhere, meaning like
if I'm the only one doing the talking, if I'm the only
okay,
one doing
okay,
the
okay, and
talking,
that's where I was going
yeah,
with it.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, one word answers or whatever. So if
yeah.
you're the only one doing the talking and
If
so it's not necessarily that this prospect is dead, meaning they're an
no,
asshole or whatever.
yeah,
It's you don't even know yet if you can't even qualify them because they're
yeah, it's
not
just
talking. So it's
yeah,
just kind of that icebreaker to get them. I got it.
yeah,
Got it. Okay.
especially guys, the people we get in this position, you're going to get all different fields. You're going to get the typical, what might be your typical laborers. They don't really talk to much people. They just don't, they don't have the talking piece. They're more the physical types. They're more the worker bees, and so like they're not going to sit here and just they don't want to rattle on and on. If you're getting that feeling, and that's what usually triggers me. If I feel that, like I want to get them talking, because if they'll at least talk, then maybe they're off of, and it's really just to pull down that wall. When they answer the phone, they got this wall up here, and they're like, "Yeah, who is this? What do you want?" And then you just keep trying to bring it down, and that's
So have you pulled audibles on that one?
oh,
That's
oh,
and
oh,
this is
absolutely,
actually a great real time view of what we're talking about.
yeah,
So maybe an would be, you know, how is your process work? Like how does your
yes, yeah,
manufacturing
yes,
process work?
exactly,
Or maybe not necessarily and I'm only saying that just because there's might be a lot of people out there watching. We're going, "Wow, I can't. I'm inbound calling them. I have to know what they do. Maybe it's
yes.
more of a how they do it as opposed
Yes,
to
yeah,
what they
yeah.
do.
Again, just what I use that, and I like to use that one just for just to get them to talk. So just a question that you might think they're interested in to get them to do more of the talking, so you can kind of just sit back and listen. And really, that's again, we got two of these and one of these, and it's for a
Mm,
reason. You should listen twice as much as you talk. And
mm.
and that's the best rule that I can ever really teach anybody in sales. If you notice that you're the one doing most of the talking, you're not selling anything. You're selling yourself right out of any sale. Get them to talk. So that's I've just kind of always used that as my vice. If I could get somebody to talk, I can hear what they're telling me.
As long as you're listening, without shaded on your perspective, which is key as well, right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
hearing what they say as opposed to what you want to hear. But I think that's also probably a different topic because that's a big topic.
That's a big topic. That's a
That's a
big
huge topic
topic.
to have a conversation about. All right, so let's wrap it up. We're 45 minutes in, brother. What do we
We are.
did you get a quote? Because you're not in the shop today. You're in the bat
Uh,
cave. So did you bring a
I'm
quote with you?
I'm not, but finish it up. Set them up for next show, and I'll find one because I got a good one. actually.
All right. So as DJ said, so we're going to do 9 a.m. Mondays, we're doing 10 a.m. Wednesdays, and we're doing 11:30 a.m. Fridays. So we've changed it kind of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Start your week and end your week with the sales chatter from with DJ and Dan. Hopefully you guys have learned something today, and that's the mission. That's the promise every day is that there's going to be some gold nuggets for y'all in these conversations. So I like that. I like that one DJ that you had. I like that. I'm going to add that to my repertoire and start
Uh,
using that in some which way, shape, or form. Because I mean, I'm still cautious about the what is it y'all do over there. But
listen,
you know what? Hey, if it
I
works,
swear to
I've got to
you,
try it.
it's worked. It's worked. I promise you, it works because here's why. Here's why it's worked. Really, they really just the people who love what they do, they'll really just get into it, and before you
So have
know
you
it,
had a traffic? Okay, so now we're getting in, we're gonna have to extend this call here. Hold on.
okay,
Now we're
okay,
getting into the nitty gritty because now you and I we're gonna play a bit here.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when people love what they do, they share it. Now, have you
no,
asked the question? Yeah, nothing to lose. Exactly, Ryan. Nothing to lose.
I,
Ryan says he's definitely going
I'm
to try
telling
it.
you,
There's nothing to lose.
listen,
So
when you're doing all the
hold on,
talking,
DJ. Here's the question: have you
okay.
ever been hung up on by asking that question? Because to
Yes,
me,
tons.
you just
Yes,
okay.
lots.
Yes,
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 lots,
yes. Okay.
lots, lots, lots. Well, and I probably should have said that. Listen, guys, I probably should have said that. So that is kind of my okay. I'm throwing this out there, and it's
That's your Hail Mary. If it
yeah,
hits, you're good. If it okay,
it's either a landmine
now
and
we
it's
have
blowing us all
now
up,
we have yes.
or
Now we have clarity, DJ.
okay, yes,
Now we
yes.
have clarity. Okay.
Okay, it's
Okay.
clear. Yes,
I
that's a
I apologize because I'm thinking the whole time like, dude, this is part of your sales sequence. Like
no,
literally,
no,
I'm like,
no.
oh my god. I'm thinking in my head like, what am I missing? Like I thought we just found the holy
This is what
grail of
the
sales
Holy
calls,
Grail.
and I'm
No,
like,
this
no,
is
no, no,
not the
no.
Holy
Somebody's
Grail.
got to hang up on you.
No, this is oh yeah, they'll either hang up or they'll be really interested and tell you. But again, it's and you guys know, you guys have these calls. I've had so many of them. I feel like where it just feels like they're not giving you anything, and you're like, hello, is there anybody over there? Like, are you
Yeah.
alive over there? Uh,
I often say like in my head, I'm going, okay, they're giving one word answers. Like I would just say, listen, I don't have time for this right now. I gotta go. Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you picked up
but
the phone, you're
there's but
listening to what I say, you're giving one word answers. We're 5 minutes into the call, and you're still giving me one word answers. And
when
as a salesperson, you're struggling to get
Well,
the
and here's why.
call
Okay,
going.
well, and I should have let out this caveat of why I asked that question. So, the biggest thing that will kill all of you guys is nice people. You want assholes. You want assholes with whoever you're selling to, because the worst thing is a nice person will just drag you along and kill you slowly. You want somebody to just kill it right away. And so that was kind of like my magic thing to like, okay, either
Hmm.
they're jumping on this and they love and they're going to give me something, or they're saying f off, what do I need I don't have time for this, click. And then again, it's feeling out what they're giving you, and if they're not giving you anything, then they might just be that nice person that, like you said, isn't just saying, hey, I don't have time for this, click. So they're just going to sit there and it's quiet. My dad is probably sorry, Dad, I'm throwing you out here for that. This
No,
my,
he's not throwing you out, Dad. He's throwing you under the bus right
I
now.
am
Just
throwing
go.
you under the
Go.
bus. My dad is one of those people, don't sell to my dad or don't talk to him on the phone. He'll sit there and it's quiet forever. And I'm like, can I hear him breathing? Are you alive still? Like, you just sit on the phone. You don't want those customers. Guys, we have time and we only have so much time. We got to make stuff happen.
Well, and I'm glad you touched on that, and we'll maybe close off with this thought. You know, just remember that your time as a sales rep is just as valuable as anyone else's. And as much as, and I fully believe, and we'll have a show on this. I actually, when DJ was talking there, I wrote down tire kickers because I think it's important, DJ, that maybe even Wednesday
Tire
we'll
kickers,
talk
yes.
about tire kickers and give everyone some really cool strategies to figure out if your prospect's a tire kicker. I got a dozen of them.
Just, just,
But
just
I
ask
think
them
in
what they
this
do.
point, yeah,
Boom!
at this, yeah, at this point, it's you know to transition out of that is don't forget. please, as a sales rep, your time is very valuable. These customers, and for all you shippers watching, don't take this the wrong way, but do not put them on a pedestal. Like, we are here to provide a value to help them look good. Now, I'm not saying we're any better. We're on the same level. Everyone is. I'm on the same level as all of you. DJ's on the same level as all of you. DJ and I are on the same level. We're all equal footing.
Oh
We're
yeah,
in the greatest industry on the planet. Our
absolutely.
time is just as valuable as yours. That's why when you're here, we're trying to make it as valuable as possible. We see people jumping in and out. They look at it, yeah, I'm not interested, and they leave because this is not valuable to their time. If you are here, you know this information is valuable. If your customers continue that conversation with you, you are adding value to them in some way. Audible your sales sequence, figure out where that value is, and start dropping that on every single call. See where it falls, and drop another area of value on, and then drop another audible. And I'm telling you, within a month, literally, if we are here October 4th, by November 4th, you could be like a ninja at
Yep.
sales calls, like that fast,
Oh yeah.
just by tracking and saying, okay, this works, this doesn't, get it the hell out of here, never say that again.
That's
Try
right.
DJ's thing. You're
Try it.
losing,
Try it.
you go Hail Mary. Hey, they Hail
Uh,
Mary and they win Super Bowls with it. So,
right.
hey, it works
It does what
sometimes.
it so
Like,
sometimes
like,
hey, Aaron Rodgers really seems to pull that off too. I don't know how, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, don't, and please understand, as much as the prospect is qualifying you, do yourself and your career a long-term favor, qualify the hell out of that prospect.
yes.
Because if you have a book of qualified customers, your life, your vitality, your joy, your energy, your excitement for your career skyrockets. It's like
Yeah.
launching into space. And you know what? Just like a space shuttle, like I forget what the exact numbers are, but I think the space shuttle burns like 80% of its fuel on takeoff, right? Like, we think about that number for a second, and we think about our sales call. We think, okay, how much fuel do I need to burn to get this call moving in the right direction?
Yep.
And just think about that for a second, because once you're moving, it's like a train. If a train stopped, they say, I mean, I've never tried it, they say you put a quarter under the wheel, the train will never go anywhere, it won't be able to move. But once a train's moving, you put literally a 3-foot brick wall in
Oh
front of it,
yeah,
and
it's
it's
going, it's
smashing through
going
it. It
through.
might lose 1 mile an hour in speed, right?
Yep.
That's us as individuals. Like, please understand, your motivation, everything you do, comes from the steps you take. And the more steps you take, the more traction you get, the more you're motivated, right? We all know this. You're on a sales call and you have an amazing sales call. It's like, you're like, oh, I'm going in, you're on fire for the next like 10 sales calls. You have a sales
Exactly.
call and it falls flat and it's a dud and it's a big pile of steaming turds. And all of a sudden you're like,
You're
yeah, well,
shook.
I'm going to get another coffee.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to talk to this
I
guy.
think it's
I'm going to just,
lunchtime. Hold on, I think it's
yeah.
lunchtime.
Like, what's going on Insta? Or
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
latest dog TikTok out there? But it's like, that's just, but stop. Okay. And this is really where, again, sales gets fun. Stop. Okay. That intro friggin' bombed with that
Yeah.
person. I'm going to try it 3 more times.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly.
4 or 5
Don't
times, you're like, okay, I've tried this intro 5 times. It sucks. Like, I won't even say the word on live, but,
right, right.
and, and so let's try something else. Okay. That stuck. Now we go to stage 2. Then we go to phase 3. Then we go to phase 4. And then, guys, same thing as closing. The easiest close for me has always been, I review. Here were your top 3 things that you wanted. These are the solutions. Do we see those solutions working? Yes. All right, let's get this going. That's it. If that doesn't work, I try something else. If
The
that doesn't work,
close,
I try something
God,
else.
God, the guys, the close should always be the easiest part. If it's not, then you're
It's the
really
next
missing.
logical step.
You're
Yeah.
you're missing the key. The bases before it. Listen, easiest step is home plate. It's just crossing home plate. The hardest is making it around the bases. Just remember that. But
That's a good one.
I do have some
Go
quotes
for
for you guys.
go for the quote. Go for the quote, brother.
So I got a couple. A because I do like them. The one I don't even remember where it's from, but the comfortable road will never lead you to the person you were destined to be.
That is so true.
So so remember that, guys. And then finally, the road to success is always under construction. Always.
I like that one. That's a good one. Guys,
Remember,
listen, remember, make the choice now. Like make the decision now. If you can do one thing for your career, for your family, for your future family, for your pets, for whoever you live for,
you
yourself.
are.
Hell,
Yep.
yourself. What am I talking about? Make the choice today, October 4th, 9:55 a.m. Eastern 2021. For the
Yes,
next
sir.
12 months, I'm going to dedicate myself to being the best salesperson I can be. If you make that decision today and you act on that decision for the next 365 days, I will guarantee you one thing. You will never have to worry about money again.
You got it. And you'll have our show Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to help you do it too.
Oh,
Let's
of
do
course. Yes, absolutely.
it.
Have a good day, everybody.
See y'all. Have a